560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. As I mentioned yesterday in our State of the Union post-mortem, two areas that I wish Trump had addressed, one in more detail, the other in any detail, that he didn't get to. And I know it was, nearly 2 hours, and so there's only so much you can get done. It was a good program, a lot of special guests. The two areas, though, that I mentioned, one was sort of the lawfare and the larger dynamic of, as nicely encapsulated by Trump, remember, they're not coming for me, they're coming for you, I'm just standing in the way. And the last week's worth of revelations about CIA, FBI, politicization, abuses, reportedly 10 G-men fired yesterday after it was revealed that the previous regime's FBI had obtained the phone records of both Kash Patel as well as White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. So those abuses, and particularly amid Susan Rice and others sort of resetting the table for more to come, were they to return to power in the midterms and certainly with an eye towards 28 in the White House. So that was one area. And he did address it to a certain extent, but not to the depth. Just like with political violence, he mentioned it, but not to the depth that I think it needs, because it's foundational with respect to a free society. The relationship between the federal government and the citizen, and frankly, the rule of law and equal protection under it. So that was one. That was one, or 1.5 areas. The other, though, was with respect to another part of the big, beautiful bill that he did not mention when he was talking about the affordability issue. And that, of course, is the federal school choice tax credit that he set up to $1,700 per person for donations to nonprofits and scholarship granting organizations for K through 12 educational costs for parents across the country. And this is important on multiple levels. One, it just provides, obviously, more voluntary scholarship money for more children around the country to get to better schools. And so, that's pretty straightforward. The other piece of it, though, is there's a little bit of dissension in the ranks with respect to those teachers' union-owned politicians on the other side. A little bit of dissension in the ranks that I hope he can foment more. Because you had at least one Dem governor say, of course I'm going to opt in to the president's scholarship program because it's free money. And why would I not take free money, donated money, if people want to give, for scholarships for kids in my state of Colorado? That's Jared Polis. And that distinguishes him from governors and say, I don't know, like Illinois and J.B. Pritzker. So we want to see if we can't expand those rifts between the teachers' union-owned pols around the country, would seem to me. For more on this latter topic, pleased to be joined by Brian Jodice, who is National Press Secretary for AFC, American Federation for Children. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be with you and your listeners.
And so disappointed that the president didn't mention one of the great features of the BBB, in addition to tax relief, this tax credit scholarship program?
No, I don't think so. I think the president outlined what really was a pro-family agenda. We would contest that this federal scholarship tax credit really is the best kept secret of the one big beautiful bill. And you kind of outlined it perfectly, what it's going to be able to do. And to be able to unlock scholarships like this across the country at no cost to these states really is a game changer. But as you so eloquently stated, it's why the teachers union hate this so much. It's why they're attacking it at every turn. And Illinois' got a real decision to be made. You look on the map, and we've got one up at federalscholarships.com, Iowa, Missouri, Indiana. You're flanked by states that have already opted in, and you made a great case with Colorado and Governor Polis there as well, because this thing really is a no-brainer.
Has there been any other Dems that have voiced support or open-mindedness on the topic?
Yeah, we've seen some commentary. In North Carolina, the governor there has talked about, I want to see the rules officially out before we make a decision. So we've seen some of that commentary, but there is so much pressure from the unions, especially in these blue states, to stay away from this thing. But, let's look at what this really does. You're talking about a change in the tax code that's going to give donors the ability to donate to these scholarship granting organizations across the country. They're then going to get a dollar for dollar up to $1,700 reduction on their federal tax bill, which is really incredible. So that's why it's such a no-brainer. It costs the states nothing. They don't have to add any single dollar to it. And then the real question to be asked, and this is the question that we're asking across, in states across the country, and this is what you'd want Governor Pritzker to think about. So I just told you that, Iowa's got SGOs, Missouri's going to have SGOs, Indiana's going to have the SGOs. That's just right there on your borders. Families across Illinois are going to want to tap into this and get that tax credit. You're going to then force them to send those dollars into other states. That's the part that doesn't make any sense. And, oh, by the way, the underlying thing we haven't even talked about is the scholarships, yes, can be used for private school tuition, which is obviously what the unions hate, but it also has applicability to be able to help kids in public schools with things like tutoring. So it really can help kids across makes and models. So when you think about it that way, that's why it really shows the utter hypocrisy to sort of oppose something like this, because then, again, it can be used for kids in all kinds of schools.
Yeah, and just to be explicit about it for people living in Illinois, I think Pritzker has said he's not going to opt in. You may be holding out hope, but I wouldn't hold out too much hope. But if you're in Illinois and Pritzker holds to what his position has been since he reversed it when he started to think about his political future and his need to align with the teachers' unions, which is what happened. But if you're in Illinois and you want to participate in this, you just because there's not going to be a way to do it in Illinois, there are ways to do it in other states. So I could donate money to a scholarship granting organization in Indiana and get the same credit, and I'm still helping a kid in Indiana, even if I can't help a kid in Illinois.
And that's exactly right. And I can all but promise you this: we will be fundraising. And we will be collecting donors from the state of Illinois to donate to SGOs. The question is, will students in that state be able to benefit from it? It's bad enough that leaders in the state let the Invest in Kids Act die. It would be bad enough if they skipped out on this opportunity. And now you're going to have people wearing Indiana Bears T-shirts and donating to SGOs in Indiana. And that's great for Indiana kids. Don't get me wrong. Families going to be looking at moving, right? So just continue the flood, I guess, to Indiana at this point.
Yeah. But just how does that work? So I donate to AFC or the AFC, the American Federation of Children Scholarship Granting Entity, whatever that is, and I'm donating from Illinois. Then does the like how the tax credit scholarship worked in Illinois before it was repealed by Pritzker and his friends? You could designate to a particular school, for example, your alma mater. So how does it work? How does it work at the federal level? I'm donating to AFC's enterprise for scholarship granting organization, but I'm in a state that doesn't have scholarships. So how is my money? How can I earmark my money essentially, or can I?
Exactly. No. I think you hit the nail on the head. You'd be able to pick an SGO that exists in a state where you then want to support students. And the ability to then select a certain kind of school would also be there. So you're going to be able to do things like that, right? As long as it's serving more, as long as the SGO serves more than one school, more than 10 kids. So you could see, networks of SGOs be stood up. The same thing we're going to do with the AFC Scholarship Fund. Look, our whole goal there is to get this program to as many families as possible, as soon as possible, and to create a very efficient, streamlined process for them to do that. So, yeah, you'd be able to direct those dollars. Let's say I lived in a state that didn't opt in, but I've got family that's in another state. So use your example. I live in Illinois, but I've got family in Indiana, and I want to support the scholarship program in Indiana. I could earmark for those kids' schools. I can't earmark for the specific students, but you could definitely send dollars knowing that it could go to serve kids at a certain school.
And so give us a survey of where school choice is now nationally and where you think this provision in the Big Beautiful Bill could take it.
Look, 27 states have already opted into the Education Freedom Tax Credit. You've got 32 states plus the District of Columbia that have some sort of school choice program. We're nearing 20 states with universal eligibility. I mean, this polls across the board. You see 75% in sort of national polling. Republicans, Democrats, independents, specifically minority Democrats support this at really incredibly high levels. So think about folks in sort of downtown Chicago. I mean, these are the people that want access to this. It's never been more popular. More and more governors are opting in. More and more states are expanding. I mean, Texas just launched what's going to be the largest day one school choice program in the history of the country. So this is no longer a niche issue, right? This is mainstream. This is the genie's out of the bottle on this thing. And so first of all, to let what was a great scholarship program, which, by the way, I mean, you already have donors in Illinois that are used to this idea, right? Donating to SGOs. Yeah. It was bad enough they let that program die. To not opt into this one, you're leaving so many resources on the table when more and more kids are falling behind. $30,000 per kid per year in Chicago. But there's something like 30-plus schools with zero kids proficient in math. But you need drastic education reform, creating essentially free dollars like this to be able to invest it in the state. That's why it's such a no-brainer. So we've seen so much popularity grow. I'm still optimistic here. I'm still optimistic that we can get Illinois there, because when you look at the facts, if you can just put the union's nonsense aside and look at the facts, this thing really is a no-brainer, and it's going to be great for kids and great for your taxpayers, too. When families are feeling it, they're feeling the bottom line. To be able to get $1,700 right off your federal tax bill, I mean, what an incredible blessing that'll be.
Well, and you're right. I mean, people forgot, but the 5 years the tax credit scholarship program was in effect, I mean, tens of millions of dollars was raised for these scholarships, for kids' scholarships, and it was really a boon to schools that are doing a great job trying to scale the great job they're doing, like Chicago Hope on the west side, and
right.
And
we're also seeing
so
in
many
other
schools
states where, we're also seeing these competitive effects where the longer these school choice programs exist. We're going to have some great report coming out next week from Dr. Graff from AFC, Dr. Patrick Graff, that's going to show competitive effects in the scale versus spending. The longer these programs exist, so unfortunately you only had your program there for about 5 years.
Yeah.
The longer they exist, the better those kids get, and the better the public school kids get in proximity to kids on school choice programs. So it really is a rising tide.
Yeah, it's interesting how competition improves the product or service. It's what a novel idea. Right. Yeah, what a novel idea. Yep. So the other piece of this too that I'm optimistic about is, once you can break through, like the Trump administration did with the $1,700 tax credit, then you have something to build on too. When it shows success, you build a constituency around it, and subsequent administrations can hopefully build on this and expand the pool of scholarship dollars.
That's right, and it's why we've always worked to not only create good policy, but to create really strong implementation right across the country. So when new programs come into existence, our goal is to ensure that as many families know about them, get access to them. I mean, you're seeing in states across the country, North Carolina, Tennessee, you're going to see it in Texas, South Carolina, where they're oversubscribed. I mean, they've got robust waiting lists. So that's also great. I mean, look, you obviously want to get every single family on the program that can get access to it, but also shows these legislatures, state leaders that we've got to get more. We've got to do more here. More families want access to it than ever before. Well, at the same time, look, we've got real threats from the unions. I mean, they are well-funded. They are mobilized. You're talking about $3 billion a year flowing through their collective coffers every year, which is incredible. But we're winning at the courts, right? Idaho just had a huge state Supreme Court win. We're seeing state after state win at the court level as well. So public opinion wants it. It's good policy. It's legally sound. We've got to have more of it.
Brian Jodice is National Press Secretary for American Federation for Children. Brian, thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Appreciate you.
And Brian joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation.